D. McClung, Archer Monologue. What should we talk about today? Think of a subject. I could look at the list. In fact, why don't I look at the list? See what we have to work with here. Got all kind of stuff. Got about 5 pages of talking points. Maybe what I should talk about here at this point is the fact that I'm doing a monologue. I'm recording a monologue. Now, we know what a monologue is. At least you should know what a monologue is. A monologue is where I talk and you don't. Now, if that bothers you, then, tough shit. Because you have to have a definition of the situation. You have to know what that situation is. So if I'm talking to you and I'm making a recording of this to present to you, the public, and I call it a monologue, that is an accurate description of this format. I'm talking, and you're not in the room, you're not in my studio, and chances are you're hundreds of miles away, halfway around the world, in any other place on the planet that has the internet. And you don't have a microphone hooked up to my studio. So, if you're talking right now, you're not being heard by me. You might be heard by someone else that's there with you, and you might be alive. You might be live in a public situation where there are other people around. You could be in your home with other family members. You could be at work where there are other co-workers. You could be anywhere. I assume you could be listening to this podcast with your iPod, earphone plugged in your ear, so that the people around you can't hear what you're listening to. And in which case, if you're talking right now, as if you're talking to me, and you have an earphone on listening to me talking right now, your people around you, they don't know who you're talking to. Well, unless you tell them, but they don't know. They're thinking, hey, he's just talking to himself. Now, back in the old days, that would be it. I mean, if anyone saw somebody walking around talking out loud and there was no one else around you, before there were cell phones and iPads and iPods and whatever, you were standing there or walking around talking out loud and no one was there around you. If you didn't have someone standing next to you and, talking around with you and maybe, responding to what you're saying, then they would think you were nuts. Well, if you're talking now at me while you're listening to me talk, then, I don't hear you. I can give a damn what you're saying. It's irrelevant to this particular format that I'm on. Now, I'm not suggesting you can't talk, but you're not talking to me because this is a monologue and I'm broadcasting a podcast or a radio show, as I like to call it, because I'm a little bit old-fashioned. And it's like radio. Now, I don't know, they might have radios today that you could actually interact with and talk back. Like, oh yeah, I think Howard Stern does this, where you can call in and talk to Howard Stern on his show while he's making the show, while he's live on the air. I can do that. I have means to do that. One of the means, of course, is Skype. You can connect with me on Skype and be live from my Spreaker studio in my studio, which is iDemon Studio. I might get in to explain why it is that I call my studio, my art studio, my radio studio or podcasting studio, my video studio, my photography studio, my music studio, recording studio, office, and personal hangout space. I might get into that sometime. iDemon Studios is the name I've chosen for my workplace. So here's the thing. If you want to talk to me, you have something to say. Important here. No arguing with me. I don't do that. I don't see any point to it. It's a waste of time. See, I'm getting up there in years. I don't have time to argue with idiots and dumb people and delusional people and insane people. Well, for one thing, it's not my job. I mean, if you want to argue, fine. Argue amongst yourselves, as it were. You know, those people, your people, whatever. It would be a pointless endeavor to try to communicate with you from my level because, or from my position, my point of view, my circumstances, because it's radio. It's one-sided. It's just my recording goes out and you can hear it or not hear it, listen to it or not listen to it. You can talk about it all you want to yourself or whoever your friends are around you, but you're not talking to me. Why is that? Because if I allowed everybody listening to the show to talk to me and at me and argue with me while I'm trying to do this recording, then I wouldn't get anything done. I wouldn't be able to say anything because all of you would be talking and I wouldn't be heard. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, more than likely. So at any rate, I have the Skype connection. You can call in. We can do an interview on the podcast. That's fine. It's great. I look forward to it. I will be somewhat selective on who gets to do that because not everybody has something interesting to say. I know the liberals kind of think everybody's got something nice to say. Everybody's got something to talk about. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. Yeah, well, guess what? No, you don't. If you got to say something and your opinion is stupid, based on nonsense and lies and bullshit, then, see, rights come with responsibilities. And if you don't want to take the responsibility, then you shouldn't be exercising the right to express your opinion. You know, rights with responsibilities. That's why my program is not rated. And that's why my websites are not rated. That's why my books are not rated. Oh, by the way, I've got 12 books published so far. Things are going well in that department. I've got another 60 or 70 books in me. So hopefully I get to live long enough and can function well enough to produce those. Be nice to have that on my obituary, I think. He authored and published, well, authored and had published, let's just say he produced 110 books. That would be cool. I'm optimistic. I doubt if I'll make it that far, but we'll keep at it until we'll see how it goes. Excuse me. So here's the thing. I have limited time on this podcast. Each episode can be up to 45 minutes, and I have a total storage space of about 100 hours. So I have already exceeded that quite a while ago, before my sabbatical of recent times. But we have, I just moved some of the older ones over to on the side in the storage, like on my website files and so forth. They're still available, and I'm not sure how it works on YouTube. I think I had some in the order of 159 episodes on YouTube. I assume they're still there because I delete them from the storage facilities on my host, my podcast host, which is Spreaker, by the way, Spreaker.com. And so I don't know if they are still on YouTube or not. Maybe YouTube just reflects the ones that are still up on my Spreaker account. All right, so we've covered this. Monologue, it's where I talk, and you don't. Doesn't mean you can't, but you can't talk to me. You can't argue with me, and that's a good thing, because that would just kind of be a very big distraction to the podcast. It would be destructive and counterproductive to what I'm trying to do. What am I trying to do? Well, for one thing, I'm trying to express my thoughts, my views, and yes, sometimes my opinions, but mostly I try to express some ideas that are not, shall we say, they're not commonly held in today's society. Let me explain an opinion. An opinion is a biased expression. Personal bias. Could be biased for various reasons. Politically, socially, religiously, intimately, and so on. Well, let me give you an example of an opinion. I like doing that. It's more to the point. It creates a vision or an impression in the mind of the audience, of the listener, shall we say, that paints that picture a little bit better than just trying to explain it in words. And here it is. It is my opinion that cooked spinach is yucky. Now that's kind of a silly thing to say there at this point. It's just a frivolous statement. However, it's a pretty accurate illustration. I think cooked spinach is yucky. Now, the texture of cooked spinach is, in fact, described as yucky. How could you possibly not describe cooked spinach as being yucky? All right. Now, but it's an opinion, and you might think cooked spinach is wonderful, or delicious, or tasty, or awesome, or marvelous, or whatever. And that's you, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I know people who like cooked spinach. And they eat it, and that's fine. Side note, that humming noise you hear in the background is actually my heater, which I had to turn on a little bit. It's a little cold tonight, a little cool. So the office got a little, studio got a little cool. So I had to turn it on for a little bit and warm it up. Don't need that now. Back up to a comfortable level. All right. It's okay. Back to the subject at hand. Cook spinach. You think it's good. You like it. You think it's great. You think it's fantastic. That's your opinion. That is not a fact. That is just simply your biased opinion based on your personal tastes and preferences. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm not advocating that, cooked spinach like not exist or that everybody shouldn't eat it or it should be like made illegal or some damn thing. Just personally, I think it's yucky and I don't want to eat it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to cook it. I don't want to smell it. And I don't want it in my house. I certainly don't want it in my kitchen or my dining room. However, my wife likes it. And she thinks it's okay. She loves it. She enjoys it. That's her preference. That's her opinion. And that's her right. Because in my house, I can tolerate someone else's opinion about cooked spinach. Might be a little bit uncomfortable with it there on the table in front of me, on her plate while she sits across from me and eats it. But, I'm not going to sit there and watch her eat it because it would make me gag. So anyway, that's an opinion. That's an illustration of that. There are others, I'm sure. They're very common. You understand. It is your opinion that the earth is round. That's an opinion that is based on fact. There's plenty of evidence to support that fact. So at what point does your opinion change into a factual statement that you just happen to believe is true? Let's give you another illustration. Let's see if I can come up with another illustration to describe something else here. All right. 2 and 2, that's 2 plus 2. That's like 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Add your fingers. Count them up right there. Count your fingers. I'm assuming you have 4 fingers. 1, 2, 1, 2. Put them together. How many fingers you got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. That is not an opinion. Even if it's even if you say, it is my opinion that 2 plus 2 equals 4. If you have that much, if you lack self-esteem and self-confidence at this point, you actually have to say, oh, it's my opinion in front of that fact, then you're just not getting it. You're just not gone there. You're just not getting invested in reality here. Okay? Here's another one. The sky is up. Not an opinion. That is not based on personal biases. That's not even based on relative biases or relative opinion. That's an observable fact. Stand outside in the yard, point your finger towards the sky, look up. If you look down, you're not looking at the sky. Somebody, being an asshole, said to me once, but if you're standing on your head and you point towards your feet, you're pointing down towards your feet, which would be down, and the sky is up there, beyond your feet. No. That means you have a basic misunderstanding of the concept of words like up and down. Up is that way. You can't see it. I'm pointing. And down is that way. And I'm pointing towards Earth. So, sky's up. Not an opinion. Fact. Now, If you disagree with this in any way, if you think that there's something to argue about here, like I just said, somebody came along and said, well, if you're standing on your head, well, if you're standing with your head, buried in the ground up to your freaking shoulders, and you want to point to your feet, which are sticking straight up, and suggest that that's down, then no. Then, let me point out, your head is buried in the sand in the first place. So, I'm listening to you. I don't think so. All right. I think chocolate ice cream is the best. I like it. I like chocolate ice cream better than I like strawberry ice cream. Well, I don't like strawberry ice cream. I wouldn't eat strawberry ice cream. It's not delicious to me, in my opinion. However, you have an opinion, and your opinion might be, I love strawberry, or Rocky Road, or whatever. That's your opinion. You're welcome to it. That's why there's a variety of flavors of ice cream at the ice cream place, or in the grocery store for that matter. However, personal preference. I'm going to guess that everybody that buys ice cream based on their personal preference. I don't think anyone's going to buy ice cream over a factual, conclusional, logical motivation. I bought that ice cream because it's just ice cream and it doesn't matter what flavor it is. You're obviously not a connoisseur of ice cream or chocolate. All right. Let's consider this. Someone suggests, I can't believe, actually can't believe that there are people like this. I've read this on the internet. Facebook, I've seen it quite a few times. Something about the flat earthers. All right, they're entitled to their opinion, and I'm entitled to make fun of them because they're idiots. Yeah, in this case, it might be their opinion that the world is flat because they obviously have no factual evidence, scientific proof to back up what they're saying. It's just stupid. And it would be nice if all the people that believe the world is flat were actually hearing me right now, and they would say, I would hope they would say something like, "Hey, he just called me an idiot," and yeah, because they have the right to mock you and make fool of you and ridicule you if you say something that's stupid. Yeah, the world's flat. No, it's not. Well, that's my opinion. Yep, keep it to yourself because I don't want to hear that shit. It's just stupid. There's enough idiotic nonsense in the world as it is without you adding to the garbage pile. All right. And then, I could just go down the list there. Religion, particularly Christianity. I mean, I'm not concerned about, the religions over in the Middle East or the Far East or Russian places or Muslims or any of those Jewish Muslims, anybody, because I don't have to deal with them directly on a day-to-day basis. But I see Christians all the time. Mostly. and honestly, it's idiotic. By the way, there's no God. And why do I say that? Because one, there's no evidence that there is. And number two, there is plenty of evidence that there isn't. Oh, yeah? Yeah. I'm not going to get into that on this show. I'll get into it in a future episode. But just a hint. Physically impossible. Logically, rationally, sane ways of thinking can tell you is logical proof. There's no false logic here. There is absolute accurate logic. We know where religions began. We understand the concepts of how and why they began. We know, for example, at certain points in time in history, religion was used and introduced to the people as a means to control them, to control what they thought, control what they did, and to control them physically as well as mentally and emotionally. And we have Christianity came about at a certain point. We understand that the primitive people had no knowledge and understanding of mysterious things in the world, so they gave it, let's just call that, God thing. And, this is 21st century. If you still believe in that monkey brain shit from the monkey brain people times, and, monkey brain people times, if you still believe that, if you're still there with that, I'm sorry, but you haven't advanced you haven't evolved past the stage of, monkey brain tree climbers. Sorry, it's just idiotic. And if you're somebody I know, and maybe a friend or an acquaintance or something like that, and you're even a family member, and I can't say I don't want you. I can't say I hope you're not offended, because I'm pretty sure you will be when you hear me say this. I don't know exactly how to get around the truth, because it's true, and you believe in nonsense. And your opinion is, as God, but there's no evidence to back up your opinion. There's no factual basis for making that a statement of fact. So it stays an opinion of insignificance. You're trying to control the world or control society, like American society, like many Christians are. It's just ludicrous and absurd, stupid, and dangerous. And we need to make those people not do that. How? I don't know. I hate to suggest it, but, Christians should not be in positions of power, because obviously they're fucking lunatics. Whew. Politicians like this Trump cunt guy. I mean, talking about religion and God and shit. God bless America and everything. Churches got to open, or I demand it. Not that they were ever closed, really, not really. But, that kind of talk from a president is just, gag worthy. It just shivers my timbers. It's just wrong. Not that he's a Christian, because, if he was, then he would be about as non-existent as the God they talk about. Because I can't even imagine somebody being that stupid to say, oh, God, So there you go. So my opinion has some weight, because my opinion is based on some kind of facts, logical calculations. And then I have my observations. I make observations in words, sometimes with pictures and photographs. I'm an artist. I express my thoughts, my ideas, and my feelings through imaging, visual images. So, that's what I do. It's what I am. Always have been, always will be, till I'm dead. And afterwards, I'll still be that as a memory. All right, so let's take a pause. All right, so to sum up, I do monologues. I express my thoughts and my views in the form of a monologue. We know what a monologue is. I'll give you the basic definition of that again. It's where I talk and you listen or not. Let's go back to the other phrase. It's where I talk and you do not talk. It's that simple. Now, if we want to have a conversation, I have no problem with conversations. But a conversation is not a debate and is not even a discussion. Discussion is another word for debate, by the way. And I don't care to engage in debates unless the people that I'm engaging with are going to obey the rules of an official, legitimate, valid debate. Once the participants in that debate diminish themselves and denigrate themselves down to arguing, then there's no debate. You can't engage in a legitimate debate by arguing with someone. It's just pointless, and it's not really a debate. And let me tell you how I see a debate. And it's not my opinion. I'm taking this from, the universal understanding and definition of valid debating. When you have a debate, you present your side. The other side presents their side of the subject. One person says, this is what I think is true, and here's why. And the other side says, well, here's what I think is true, and this is why. And in the end, we have proven by the overwhelming presentation of facts, evidence, and rational logical argument on the one side and not so much on the other side. So the side with the logic, the side with the facts, the side with more believable reality and more believable argument. In this case, the word argument is not the same as arguing, but it's presenting an argument. That word has a couple of different variations on its definition. So at the end, you got all this evidence on my side, let's say, all my facts, all my logic, all of my evidence, and on the other side, nothing. No evidence, no logic, no facts, faulty logic, faulty reasoning, defective thinking, perhaps subjective presentations of an opinion as opposed to objective. And at the end, we have all this on my side, all this nothingness mostly on your side. I win. And at that point, you say, I see. All of your facts line up. All of my facts don't exist. All of my opinions contradict the facts. Therefore, irrelevant. And then you say, as the loser, I accept the fact that I was wrong and that you're right. And I now accept your way of thinking because it's not just your thinking. It's actually based on something real, factual, evidence, truth, scientific properties, etc. And so I'm going to change my mind because, I was wrong. I'm going to accept what you said because, it's right. And so there's no need to argue because the debate is over. You lost. Accept that, admit that, and change your mind and move on. That's the way a debate works. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. It's like, I'll just waste my time and have a little debate here, and then in the end, I'm not changing my mind. I'm just going to keep believing wrong shit. And I'm going to keep saying the right stuff is wrong and the truth is not truth and facts are not facts. And, I've had people tell me that stuff like, well, that's your fact. like I invented facts and it's mine. I own it. No, you don't. That's just ridiculous. In the first place, 2 + 2 = 4 has always been a fact. It's been a fact forever. And I did not invent it. And the sky is up. It's not my invention. It's always been true. You follow me? So, I think we've got a little bit of progress here. Now, if you want to listen to what I have to say and learn something, cool. If you have an opinion, then, good for you. But if your opinion is wrong, then it's wrong. I didn't say if it was different from my opinion. I said if it's wrong, it's wrong. If you think something that's true isn't true because the evidence says it's not true, then you believe in a lie. It's that simple. There is no argument. If you want to argue, find somebody stupid to argue with. Preferably you find somebody not as smart as you, and then you might win some points. But this world has got to the point of insanity. Everybody's arguing, there is hatefulness, there is meanness, and there is violence. Needless, pointless violence, as we are witnessing now in the rioting and stuff going on around the country. I understand why, I understand the purpose, I understand the meaning. I also understand there's things that we don't know. There are certain people who are instigators, as I've witnessed here in the news here earlier today. Someone's going around doing things violent and causing damage to instigate others to do the same. To, I don't want to say inspire, but to goat people on and, what do they call those people? There's a word for that, but you know what I'm talking about. They're creating an incident, and then the people get blamed for it, even though the people didn't do it. Like, who started breaking windows? Well, those guys in black that went around, breaking windows, and then quickly left the scene when the protesters took on the attitude of, let's break some windows too. Because that guy in black that probably works for the freaking CIA started it. Won't get into CIA at this point. So I think we've made some progress. But one other thing. I consider myself a teacher. I don't often use the word teacher. I don't very often claim to be a teacher, but of late I have found it necessary to express that thought. I'm a teacher. And I'm a teacher because I have things to teach. But here's the catch. Learning is more important than teaching. I can present you with things to know. I can present you with facts. I can present you with evidence. I can present you with an idea and present it in such a way that you think about it and give it some thought and be rational, logical, factual, truthful, and honest with yourself. And you can, at that point, you can, how would I say it? So I think you get the idea. Teaching is good. Learning is the point. If you can't learn, no amount of teaching is going to help you. And I've had some teachers influence my life and inspire me to learn. But I've spent most of my life, if not all of my life, learning. I have spent very little bit of my life being taught. You understand? So the thing about that is you need to learn. And once you learn, then you need to utilize that learning, that knowledge that you have learned, experience, skills, knowledge, details. I am self-taught, as it were. And I think most people are, to some degree, self-taught. People who are self-taught or self-learning retain more of what they've learned and can utilize that learning, that knowledge better than people who have just been brainwashed. I mean, indoctrinated. I mean, have just accept what they are told by a so-called teacher. This applies in school, it applies at work, it applies in your home, it applies in your life, in every aspect of your life. Learn. Utilize what you learn for a good, for a purpose that benefits you or your family or your business, your job, or your fellow man. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. And thanks for listening. I will return. So for now, be kind. Think for yourself. Be logical. Try to be rational. Try to be logical. Try to make sense. All right, D. McClung, Art Monologues. Catch you next time.